Ela quer vir pra minhas áreas de novo, sempre me liga mais de 11 da noite. Acho melhor não ter, isso se repete tipo um ciclo vicioso. Ela quer vir pra minhas áreas de novo, sempre me liga mais de 11 da noite. Acho melhor não ter, isso se repete tipo um ciclo vicioso. Pior que ela ganha.
Hi guys, happy Sunday and welcome back to my channel. I am Miss Mitty. It's Self-Care Sunday, so happy Sunday to you. And today we're going to be doing an episode of Talk to Me Nice, where I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about me and my profession that I chose, and we are also going to be making Sunday supper, right? Alright, cool. So today what I'll be making is, well, you know, it's fall in the US now, and I found a recipe for a fall soup that we are going to be trying. It's so different here for soups because soups in the US are more like appetizers, you know. They open up your stomach, bust the gas, and prepare you for your main course. But in the Caribbean, it is really different because soups are a whole meal. It's a one-pot meal with vegetables and carbohydrates and protein. You cook it all together, everybody get them bowl, everybody eat and them belly full, everybody goes to bed happy, right? But it's a little bit different here, and in the spirit of trying something new, we're going to be making a butternut squash and sweet potato soup. Cool? Alright, now I have a surprise for you guys. Are you ready? I'm gonna turn the phone a little bit, right? Look at this. Ta-da! Yes, she has a new pot. I have a new pot, right? So the thing is, when I went to Home Goods to purchase my pot, yes, I know I have a lot of places I could go, but Home Goods is always my go-to. I started buying this line of pots, right? But at the time, they only had the frying pan and the saucepan. And I was like, I really don't want to buy a brand new set of pots so I can have more pots. I'd rather stay within the same line. So I went to Home Goods yesterday and they happened to have the soup pot in the same brand, so I bought it. Now, me personally don't need such a big pot. Yeah, and so I started my career at the National Chest Hospital in Kingston, Jamaica. It's a small tertiary hospital, so it's not as big. And initially when I finished nursing school and they placed us at a hospital, so I was like, me never ever hear about a place here before. And then mother send me there. Me not like this for me. And I was the only one out of my group that got sent to National Chest. But let me tell you something. I went to that hospital and I found my family. That's where my formative years in nursing was made. And that's where I started in the operating room. I am now a certified nurse in the operating room, and let me tell you how that started while we're showing off our veggies here. So one day, right, because everybody knows in Jamaica you have to wear the nurse's hat, and I never liked it, but it was insisted upon because every now and again, every year you get a little money that you call tailoring. And the nurses were like, well, you know, we love you for tailoring, so if you don't wear your hat, the government might have an excuse as to say why they don't want to give us our money anymore. And I'm like, but wait, there are other hospitals in Jamaica that are private that still get the tailoring allowance and they're not required to wear a hat. Anyways, I was being a rebel about it, but I still decided to wear the hat. Now, one day I was taking care of a diabetic patient and I was doing their foot dressing, right? And my hat fell off my head into the patient's diabetic wound. Now, not only was that an infection risk for the patient, but that hat is now ruined. I can never wear that again. First of all, who going to carry home that go wash it? Not me. So from then on, I refused to wear the hat. And, you know, the matron said to me, alright, next week we're assigning you to the operating room, right? And that's where my operating room experience started. And I loved it. It was a true family inside that operating room. Rest in peace, Miss Dawn. Miss Dawn was my everything. She was a certified scrub technician. And beyond the RN duties of the operating room, she taught me everything I know. In 2014, I did the official operating room program, and then in 2015, I moved to Bermuda where I became an operating room nurse there as well. Now, the beauty of Bermuda is it opened my eyes up to a lot more than what I was able to experience in Jamaica, because being that Bermuda was first world, they had a lot more technology to their advantage, which I was able to be a part of, right? Cool. Side note, we'll just strain the sweet potatoes and the butternut squash. So we're just gonna let it sit and cool now before we continue with the soup, okay? All right, cool. Anyways, as I was saying, yes, so I was experienced more laparoscopic and orthopedic type trauma procedures, and listen, as much as National Chest was where I got my base, Bermuda really helped to cement a lot of things. Like, for example, Bermuda started their first electronic medical record, and I was there for the beginning. I was the one who named it Pearl. I was a super user for it, so I got a lot of experience where that was concerned as well. And then now, in August of 2023, I decided to move to the US only because I felt as though I needed more. I needed to explore more. I needed to see what's out there. I needed to get a different point of view on things. And I don't believe I could have gotten that from Bermuda, but I feel like it was time for me to do it while I was young, so that when I'm older, I don't regret not experiencing all there is to experience about life, right? And that's why I took the step to come here, and I'm already learning so much more. I'm doing a lot more robotic surgery. I'm getting to participate in a lot of specialties that were not available to me in Bermuda, and that's the whole backstory of that. So I'm just gonna let these sit and cool for a little bit, and then we come back to finishing our soup, right? Good stuff. So what's happening right here is me pureeing the butternut squash and the sweet potato, because this kind of a soup calls for a puree, right? So I'm using my blender with a little bit of the water that it was cooked in to blend it down so it has a nice thick consistency. Side note, guys, American sweet potato not have no taste, you know. Hey, you see farmer them who farm them orange color sweet potato, they what them call yams, what everybody kill themselves over when Thanksgiving time come and them have to add 2 pounds of sugar to make it have any flavor. Yeah, them sweet potato here definitely not make it. But anyways, it never too bad in this case because it was going into a soup, so it ultimately worked out. Yeah. So I've just added 2 teaspoons of butter into the pot. I added some basil as well, and I'm just gonna put some cumin in it now for extra flavor, right? So now somebody asked me to just speak about how I feel about nursing and what I think of this career that I have had for over a decade, almost a decade and a half, right? And I'm going to give you my honest perspective. Now, nursing is not the white uniform angels as many people like to make it out to be. It's so much more complex than that, because nursing, like most other fields within healthcare, means that you're with a person from the day they are born, and even before, because you're talking about midwives who have to care for patients from their conceived, from their thought of, and you follow this person through their life until the day they die. You are practically there for everything, right? Have I always wanted to be a nurse? Yes, I can say that for sure. I'm going to insert a short clip now just to show you that it has been in the works for ever so long, right? I'm sure that clip was mighty interesting, right? Yes, the forehead has always been that big. So now to the pot, I'm going to be adding 32 ounces of chicken stock. I'm not going to be using any water, and I've used chicken stock to cook before. I mean, I'm no chef, but I've used chicken stock to cook before, and it does add more flavor than water. So yeah. So I'm adding some chicken stock. I'm using the low sodium one because I want to be able to add the amount of salt I like to this soup, right? So yeah, this is some chicken broth or stock or whatever you want to call it. Now, as I was saying, yes, for the most part, I've always wanted to be a nurse. I thought of it as a noble profession. It's not for everybody. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it was always something that I wanted to be able to say, yes, I have done. I think for the most part, my 14 years have been successful. Nursing for me, I have only one rule. I will not harm a patient. If a patient is dying, I will ensure that they die with the most dignity, respect, and honor. I provide privacy, confidentiality for all of my patients while walking them through whatever they're going through. These are Maggi bouillon cubes that I'm adding. Maggi offers flavor, that's non-debatable. If you don't like Maggi, debate your ancestors, I don't care. Right? So I'm just gonna stir this pot a little bit, add the pumpkin in and stir it, and I'm just gonna let it sit there and come to a boil. This is basically the pumpkin puree. Butternut squash. What am I talking about? Pumpkin? It kind of looks pumpkin though, right? Yeah. So I'm just adding it to the pot here, and I'm just gonna give this a stir, and I'm going to allow it to come to a boil. Right? So there we have that. Yeah. So nursing has always been it for me. At the time when I started nursing, could not see myself doing much else. And to be honest with you, nursing has been so dynamic, because when I started in nursing in 2010, it's a total different playing field from the nursing now. There are so many other opportunities. You can work clinical, you can work in the community, you can work along with companies, you can work in reinsurance, you can be a consultant. There is so much more to nursing than what it started out as being. But I'm telling you, nursing is not the floral, Florence Nightingale, nurse with the lamp kind of an idea that everybody gets. We are bombarded every day with people who need our help and people who are depending on us for the support that they need, right? And these people come in all modes of aggression because they think that they should be your priority and nothing else. And oftentimes we cannot do that for people because we are one person trying to help everybody all at once. And some people, unfortunately, are not going to be our first priority. And while that is never nice, I wish the public would understand that we are doing the best we can to make sure everybody gets all the help they need. Nursing also has its downsides, and a lot of people won't speak about this, but I'm not really afraid. There has been a case where older nurses basically eat their young, for want of a better word. You are thrust into a situation with an older nurse, they have a lot of baggage, and it's almost as though they hate the younger nurses who are free thinkers, who come with new ideas, who are basically almost like the rebels of the nursing system. Now, when I say rebels, I don't mean they come in with the intention to impact nursing in a negative light, but many times it's often that their ideas and proposals and thought processes are not even taken into consideration, and because they are so outspoken and see things differently than others, they are often treated differently. I have been subjected to that, and I have tried for the most part, whenever I meet new nurses or I'm trying to train somebody to do something new, I always keep in the back of my head that this person might have to take care of me one day. So I want to not only treat them with the respect that they deserve, I want to make sure that they understand what they're doing at all times. Nursing, I feel like, is also one of those careers where it's almost expected that you're supposed to take whatever you get. So there have been many news reports of nurses being harassed, nurses being assaulted, and the most management will do about it is, what could you have done differently? This patient is going through a mental health crisis, and you know, they didn't mean to do it, and so nothing becomes of the situation. you know, a mentally ill person does not hit a guard or a policeman or a correctional officer and get away with it. Not even a supermarket cashier. They will be arrested and held to full account. But in medicine, you find that the thought process is a lot different, and so a lot of nurses suffer with depression. A lot of nurses even battle suicidal ideations because they feel as though they're stuck in a system that does not respect them as a person. Like, we are expected to show all of the humanity in the world, but we're not deserving of getting that humanity back. And this kind of heralds me back to when I was working at National Chest Hospital. And one of the reasons why I totally respected that place is the chief medical officer of National Chest. She made it very clear, because Chest Hospital would hold TB patients, and a lot of those TB patients, tuberculosis that is, patients were coming from the prisons. And even though they had guards, they would get kind of rude and feisty with the nurses at all times. And I remember her first name is Tanya. I can't remember what her last name is. I think her name is Tanya Foster. She was a senior medical officer at National Chest, and she, with no holds barred, said, "None of you are going to disrespect my staff. If you disrespect my staff, you are going to be discharged." And the patients understood that they needed the care, and so virtually I really had no problems with any patient because it was a mutual level of respect, right? The world that we live in now is a lot different. A lot of people abuse people and then cry mental illness as a way to get away from it and not being charged, and so a lot of nurses have had to deal with situations like that. A lot of nurses have also had to deal with the disrespect of not being fairly compensated for the work that they do. So now my soup is actually boiling, and it really does smell good, guys. I'm surprised it really smells good. But now what I'm going to do that is boiling, I'm going to be adding, yep, definitely smells good. Ooh. I'm going to be adding a cup of unsweetened coconut milk. So basically this recipe calls for heavy cream, but I am not going to be adding a lot of heavy cream to mine because, of course, the girl is lactose intolerant. So I'm using half coconut milk, and I'm going to be using a half a cup of heavy cream. So yeah. That's a heavy cream. Alright, so I'm actually going to allow that to just cook some more, and I'll continue talking to you guys. So let's stir this pot. It really does look good. It smells good too. So I guess based on the recipe that I saw, it's saying that we're going to allow this to cook for another probably 20 to 30 minutes. Let me just taste it here to make sure. Alright, so I feel like it could do with a little salt, so I'm going to add some salt. That actual squash flavor is coming through really nicely. And don't worry guys, this is not a lot of salt I'm adding. And I'm just going to add some pepper as well. Good stuff. Give that a stir, allow it to thicken on its own. Yeah. Alright. So in terms of compensation, nurses are taken advantage of. We are practically the only, and I say this unreservedly, the only healthcare person that stays with a patient 24 hours. A patient is never without a nurse. But a lot of companies and practices and hospitals prey on that sense of empathy and sympathy that nurses have to not pay them what they deserve. So it's always a case of, oh, this is what you're getting paid, and you should be more concerned with the person and not lining your pockets. And if you go on strike, who's going to take care of the patients, even though you give them adequate notice, sometimes a week in advance, to say that we are going to be striking because we feel like we're unfairly being compensated. A lot of these companies act as though nurses can go into the supermarkets or go to the bank to get a mortgage again, and just say to them, oh, I'm a nurse, give me your best because I show empathy and care every day. No, it takes money for persons to live quality lives and for persons to have what they want to have, and a lot of nurses don't get that from employers, and employers use the thought that nurses are, you know, money grubbing or money hungry as the impetus to not pay them what they're worth, and think that you have to stay even if I don't pay you. The beauty of the dynamism of nursing is now that there are so many nursing jobs that extend on outside of clinical care, meaning hospitals, clinics and stuff, a lot of nurses are gravitating that way. So what you find happening nowadays, a lot of nurses are owning their own businesses, they're becoming consultants on businesses, they're doing their profession from a digital platform, and so they have kind of moved away from traditional nursing. And now you're hearing that there is a nursing shortage, right? And everywhere is short of nurses, and we don't know what healthcare is going to become. The world is not short of nurses. To be honest, yes, there may be a few gaps, but there are enough nurses. But the thing is, nurses are no longer standing up for what is being offered. We're not just going to take what you say anymore. So a lot of people are coming out of clinical practice and going out on their own, becoming entrepreneurs, building products and services for people outside of the nursing sphere. That's what's happening right now. So there's really not a nursing shortage, to be honest. There's just a shortage of nurses in clinical care because nurses are no longer going to put up with the abuse from patients and managers and the leaders within the health sphere. It's just what it is. And I applaud people for doing that. And I also would like to take this moment to say that nurses deserve more. They deserve better. As a starter nurse at National Chest in 2010, my starting salary was 50,000 Jamaican dollars before tax. And they used to take the government tax, the NIS, the education tax, and a pension from my salary. So at most, I would be going home with probably 34,000. My rent was 21,000. So it also spurred me into a sphere of where I had to do so much overtime, to the point where I would be working between 2 hospitals just to make enough of a salary so I could have what I need. But I also wasn't even able to enjoy what I was getting because I was so tired from working all of these jobs. And I'm saying this as a single entity with no children, and I really didn't have to take care of my family, you know. So I can't even just imagine what people go through if they have a family to take care of. The struggle is really real out here. And I'm just saying this to say, guys, if you have a nurse in your family, please show them the respect that they deserve. If them ask you for some time, allow them to have that space and that time. Do not burden them. They're already being burdened at work, right? Let's just show each other love and respect, and it doesn't matter who that person is. And if they're a nurse, they deserve that love and respect twice over. Trust me. Alright guys, so the fall soup is done cooking, and now I'm going to prepare a bowl of it. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like, and I'm going to also taste test it with you guys as well. Alright, so let's do this. Alright guys, so that's what my butternut squash soup, aka fall soup, ended up looking like. Here it is in my bowl. Now I must tell you guys, I ended up adding some shrimp and some edamame beans in there because this is not no full belly soup. I mean, not dead for hunger tonight. And I added a little basil leaf as a little decoration, you know. The girl is trying to be all fancy, and the basil will also add some flavor as it wilts into the soup, right? So now we're gonna taste the soup together. Let's see if it's anything that it's cracked up to be. So here I have a spoonful with some edamame beans. Let's try this, okay? All right, let's go. Listen, granted, this is an appetizer. This is not no full belly soup, but this tastes good. Listen. Yes, sir. The one you shot, it tastes good. It's very reminiscent of a Jamaican soup, just minus the heavy duty food. Just like a broth, a thicker broth, but it's nice, bad. I'm going to enjoy this. Anyways, goodbye. By the way, this is not enough to fill my belly, so come along, let's meal prep for the week, as well as cook some more food. Let's do this. Hi guys, so now I'm finished with my soup, so I'm just gonna continue into my meal prep for the week, right? So I personally don't meal prep for the whole week. I only prep for up to Tuesday or Wednesday. Reason being, there's never a case where I cook on a Sunday and I get to Friday and I'm like, yeah, I really want to eat that again. And for two, I don't like wasting food, so I just prep for a few days, and then when it gets to Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll make something for the rest of the week again, right? Or buy food on the road. Anyways, so in keeping with the fall theme, we're still gonna continue through with that, and so I'll be preparing some Tuscan chicken, some creamy Tuscan chicken, and I'm going to be using bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs, and I'm also going to be doing some spaghetti squash. Now that beep you heard in the background was my oven being preheated up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's what I'm going to use to cook the squash. I am going to add some salt. So basically this is spaghetti squash, and what I did was to cut it in halves and just to scoop the seeds from the inside. So I just added some salt, and I'm going to add some pepper, and the foil paper that's underneath the spaghetti squash, I sprayed some Pam on it so it doesn't stick to the baking tray itself, or even to the foil paper. So I'm gonna throw this in the oven, and then we come back and we're going to do this Tuscan chicken together. First time doing it, but I think it's going to be good. So here I am now putting my chicken thighs into this bath. It contains lemon juice and vinegar and water, and I'm just gonna rinse them off gently. We're not splashing water all over the place, so it reduces the risk of contaminating all of the surfaces. And what we are going to do afterwards is to clean the surfaces with bleach. I don't care what the FDA wants to say. Chicken is prepared in facilities that are unhealthy, and yes, heat might kill most of the germs, but washing take away the rest. This is why Caribbean people remain healthier. Okay, here I have my meat scissor. This scissor is only used on meat for no other purpose. So I'm just going to be cutting the fatty pieces off of my chicken thighs because I don't like how they taste in my mouth. So that's what I'm doing here. We have this little inner piece of fat that we need to get out as well. And to me, the scissors just make it easier. As far as we're concerned, when it comes on to housework, I work housework and cooking and stuff like that. I tend to work smarter and not harder, right? So there we have it. We cut out all that extra fat that's in the chicken thighs. Give it a rinse off, there you have it, a nice ready to season chicken thigh. Alright, so while my spaghetti squash is being cooked in the oven, I am going to prepare some creamy Tuscan chicken. These are my chicken thighs. They're skin on bone chicken thighs that have been seasoned and have been marinated for a couple of hours now. I have my frying pan here that has been sizzling on medium to low heat, and it has been, I put some olive oil in there. So we're just gonna drop our chicken thigh skin down into the frying pan. And 2, we're going to be cooking them on each side for 15 minutes. Chicken thighs do take a little bit longer to cook, so I am definitely going to let them cook on each side for 15 minutes each side, right? And yeah, we'll come right back and see how they're doing. And so here I am preparing the Tuscan chicken, guys. So this sauce is heavy cream, Parmesan cheese, there's some spinach in it, and roasted red tomatoes. I put some garlic and yeah, that's it, garlic. I was supposed to cut onions and put them in there, but I don't have no time nor no patience for that. Here's the chicken that we have pre-fried. It might have seemed like I was only cooking them for a short period of time, but because I'm going to cook them in the sauce as well, they will cook through, right? So we'll drop the thighs back into the frying pan here and try to scrape out all of the good juice in there. And then I'm just going to scoop some of this cream on the skin too, and we're going to cover this and allow it to cook for another 20 minutes. Right? I'll turn the stove down a little bit and allow that to cook. It smells so good. Over on this side of the world now, I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing. This is the spaghetti squash here, and to prepare them, all you have to do is scrape the inside of the squash skin and it just comes away, and it's so simple. And this is after only, what was it, like 45 hours 45 minutes, I'm sorry, in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, right? It comes away so easy. And this is actually very good for me as well, because I am going back on my diet. You know, lose some weight before you put on the Christmas weight. And literally all of the squash comes away from the skin, because I had added the oil and the salt and pepper on top. I'm just trying to mix it all to get everything incorporated. There you go. Actually looks pretty decent. Of course, squash is from the pumpkin family, so I'm not expecting it to have a lot of flavor, but it does look good. So I'm going to finish the chicken, plate it with some squash, and I'll let you guys see what it looks like once we're done. And I know it's late in the evening, but I haven't eaten much. You know, it was only the soup, so I'm definitely going to be having some of this, and I'm going to tell you guys what it tastes like. And so there you have it. This is spaghetti squash with string beans and broccoli and some Tuscan chicken. See how easy the thigh pull apart? It's cooked. this really tastes good. Really tastes good. Try the spaghetti squash. Listen, me is a chef. Me, Chef Boyard she. Chef Boyard her. Chef Boyard me. Me a big chef. This is so good. You see, this is why you must try new things because you never know, you might actually like it. Anyways, cheers guys. Happy Sunday. Have a great week and I'll see you next week. Same time, same place.